Good morning. It is. Let's see if we can get this one off to everyone. There we are. Audio. Audio sounds all right. There we go, that should work. But yeah, we are here for the Midweek tier, pre-season. As Ramsey mentioned, we suspect they changed the password to the official PRL channel, so I'll do it on my channel. But yes, it's currently 1:23 a.m. local time here in Sweden. So, if I am a bit tired, I hope it's excused. Let me get that up in its own window. Thank you very much. But yeah, we're here in a new tier in Performance Racing League. The Midweek tier. It will be an hour later Swedish time. It just hasn't gone back in America yet. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. I will not make that many appearances, both in comms and racing, but I will try and make one or two. But yeah, I'm not gonna push myself awake to compete in this. But it's one of many new things in PRL for season number 9, which is yeah. I am gonna call out everyone. Mexico is the best track on the calendar, and if you aren't nailing every corner, you will be called out. Mr. Hex in the chat. Of course, Mr. Hex will be my teammate for next season 9 in tier 1. Yeah, more about that on my personal channel, but yeah. Cheeky Inshallah before we go. One of, what is it, like 3 Europeans here today? I expect praise and nothing else. Gord, you, or Vapor, you are getting slated as well. Couldn't even beat me in equal machinery. That's pretty poor. Nah, you were so quick. You were so quick. But yeah, only two main tiers, and then of course this one for PRL, tier 1 and tier 2. Premier tier is dead. I failed my Rosberg legacy. Well, considering my last name is Rosenberg, I think that's probably why. So yeah, that's fun. Yeah, a couple of more minutes before we. Oh. Spot up mentioning that he thought it was more Americans. There's a bloody lot of Canadians here. And then we have Timgra from Liechtenstein. You have me in here from Sweden. Cheese, I think, is Croatian / Swedish. I might be wrong. And of course, Ramsey, auf Germany, or auf Deutschland. But living in Canada. I don't know if I should say that, but so I'm sorry, Ramsey. But yeah, he's an honorary Canadian, but representing the EU here. Yeah, Mr. Hex has moved south. Croatian British. Sorry, Cheese. I must have mixed you up with someone else. But yeah, Hex moved south of the border. He wanted those tacos instead of the hamburgers. Oh yeah, Tibbs. Tibbs was the one I'm gonna assume PR is Puerto Rico. Do they not have the Puerto Rican flag? That's a bit of a shame. That's a bit of a shame. That's weird. I'll give you the Puerto Rican flag in the thingy. The thing I use for my stats and stuff. You'll get the Puerto Rican flag there. La Rodri, I assume that's Honduras. 5 stars. It's Honduras, I think. But it could be El Salvador. Let's Google it actually. Honduras. It is Honduras. I was right the first time. Yeah, cool. It's a woman. That I'm gonna get that wrong, but I am gonna blame that it's now 1:29 a.m. So. Yeah, I'm sorry in advance, Rodri. I am truly sorry if I get it wrong. Yeah, we're now at 19. Hoop and Cheese is waiting to pick their cars. A lot of Canadian here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 Canadians, and I'm unsure of disgruntled. And then of course you have Ramsey, so that's 10. Yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of that tonight. It is kind of late. Don't worry, we have 36 laps of a sunny Mexico because the weather gods decided that the weather in Mexico is well, it's 4% chance of rain according to Google, so enough time to take a nap mid-straight. I'll probably take a nap between the qualifying and the race. But yeah, that straight is long. It's not Vegas long, but it is definitely long. By the way, I'm so happy Vegas is on the calendar. It's not for midweek tier, because well, I'm not racing in here, so they decided to say screw it to my champions pick. But yeah, my champions pick will be in the main calendar for tier 1 and tier 2. Of course, tier 1 is a mix of old tier 1 and old premier tier. A very, very stacked grid, as we have the ready up call. Oh, I could drive. There is a space in McLaren, but I've committed to doing comms. But yeah, I'm not sure who. Sorry. I'm not sure who will do the comms for this tier. Considering Rams is driving, for example, Hex is driving, but I think someone will do midweek tier. The same actually for tier 1. I'm not sure. I'm gonna check in. Currently, we have Lucas wanting to do it for tier 1, which is always good. And there we go. Track map on, lap data on, telemetry. We don't need it. Of course, we know the weather is dry. So everyone is now having to decide if they are gonna go low wings or high wings. It's a very, very tricky mix, because this game is absolutely brilliant and don't simulate the actual altitude of the track, because this track is at what, 2,000 feet or something like that, 2,000 meters above sea level, which means the air is pretty thin. So in real life, as Mr. Hex is the first one out, but yeah, the teams run very high downforce to basically have any chance of getting the car around the corners, but they still have a top speed closing to the Monza ones because of the lack of air resistance. But on this game, it's not simulated, so if you run high wings, you're gonna be slow as a turtle, and if you run low wings, but if you run low wings, you're gonna struggle through all of this section that Mr. Hicks has just gone through. but you're gonna be pretty darn quick around here. I think my setup is like 28, 25 wings. Because I have a little bit of a lag spike, which is always fun. Mr. Hex comes through the first chicane and is looking solid. I want to be able to just plant the throttle on the exit. Depending on setup, it might not be fully possible, and you have to be very gradual. Through the double right-hander, and now through the fun bit. It's left, it's right, it's left. You want to hold it as long as possible to make it through this section without lifting. And it looked fairly solid for Mr. Hex. Absolutely eats that curb. Through the stadium section. And around the final 2 quarters, I think it's 2. And on pole he goes with a 17.1. Sinks coming through with a 1:21.1. That is also something we should mention. As Sparkplug sets a 1:20.5, the gaps between the drivers might be a little bit higher here, because this is not a tiered. It's not tiered in the same way as Tier 1 and Tier 2 and the old Premier. This is just mainly for North Americans, but of course, as we can see, the Europeans are also welcome. But it's not tiered in the same way. So someone like Ramsey, who goes and sets a 1:16.5, will race against a little bit slower drivers, and that's going to be very, very interesting to see. As Bronco goes P4, making it a Ferrari second row. Disgruntled is invalid. Vinny is actually a little bit further ahead, so let's go board with Vinny. Of course, the car updates has come out, so the cars have their new sponsors. As Vinny just keeps it on track, very important to do, very easy, especially in the last couple of games, to go wide there. I feel, especially on a pad, it's a little bit easier to stay on track this year, but it's still a very tricky turn, as he has a little bit of a slide on the exit and goes P8 with a 1:19.1. Dookie has not had a great last section and goes P9 with a 1:19.196 with a 1:19.151. Gourd sauce is the next one we'll go on board with. Of course, came P2 in Tier 1 last season, behind yours truly. And of course is back in Tier 1 due to the Premier Tier being shut down. And honestly, this guy has some real pace, and I expect him to be top 5 come the end of the season, as we have had a car in the wall. Noob is in the wall in the tricky section. Gord goes wide and invalidates. Dr. J, I know you're watching because you know the poll time. Just this tier is not as serious as tier 1 and tier 2. It's just for a bit of fun, especially for the North Americans. Of course, the racing is serious, but it's not something you have to like full send practice. For as spot up goes P9 with a 1:19.19, so slots in just in between Sips and Dookie. Is actually only 6 thousandths ahead of the Williams driver. Tingra, who of course won tier 2 last season, did very, very well and actually helped the Red Bull win tier 1 constructors, as Tingra goes P3 with a 1:17.9. Gord is once again going. This time he hasn't invalidated. Through the final couple of turns, looked a little bit slidey, but goes into the 16s with a 1:16.9. He's actually exactly a second ahead of Tingra, which is very impressive. Cheese is on a lap, improving. Let's see what the driver representing Ferrari today can do. And it does improve to a 1:17.450. Spark plug is up by a lot. Oh, squirrely through the last couple of corners, but does improve by 1.6, almost 1.7 seconds, up to P11 with a 1:18.8. L.A. Rodri. Is it L.A. or I.A.? It's Rodri, at least. We know that much. And she, I think, might be the only girl in this league. Hopefully more joyous, because they actually tend to be a lot cleaner when driving. I can't lie. But yeah, always fun to have every type of people in the league. She didn't turn on the ERS until a little bit late. It means she did get good traction, but did lose out on a little bit of speed. And she will have lost time continuously throughout the straight down to turns 1 through 3. Through 4 and 5, looks solid. Through 6 and 7, missed the apex a little bit, went in a little bit too hot. come over to the right through 8, missing the apex again slightly. 9, 10, 11 and 12, very tricky to hit. And then I guess this is 13. Ooh. Spot the braking for 14. Now through 15 and 16. 17 and 18. At least 17. And goes P9 without 118,479. Only 5 thousandths behind spot up. So it's definitely close. Hoop, also a reserve, has gone P11, which means everyone has a time. But the driver representing Mercedes has put a 118.6, 8 thousandths behind Dutch in the Red Bull. I always like seeing new guys and girls proving themselves against the old boys. Oh, Doogie has invalidated. Let's see, next one across the line is probably nope. Nope. It's Rodri coming through, and then yeah, probably peeling off. Scruntle is starting a lap. Sings is starting a lap. Vano is going very slow, so we'll go on board with Cersei. And Cersei goes and improves, but not their position. Goes P17. Yes, Dr. J, the one missing is Spin and Win. Wait, what? Is he? Is he in the wrong team? Or have I? Where is Spin? I don't see Spin. As Northern Canuck improves to P14, very good. Yes. Sorry, I'm just reading the Discord and yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, we have the drivers out for their last lap, or their final out lap at least. So we gotta keep an eye on that. Disgruntled couldn't improve, according to that. Northern Canuck. Let's see what they can do. I'll go into the pits, is what they can do. Yeah, a lot of outlaps. And then we have Disgruntled with no ERS, so it's not going for it. Vano also lacking a lot of ERS, but it looks like it's pushing. And I missed the Delta, but yeah, we can see the drivers now. Ramsey with the trademark, what's his name? Oh, Avano just tries to cut it a little bit too much. Next one is a Merc. Is that a gourd source trying to make their way around? It is. Let's go board with the current leader, Ramsey. Oh, Ramsey has invalidated or made a mess of things. Hex now coming through. He's gonna get a little bit of dirty air from the car ahead of him, which is McLaren. I'm gonna guess that's spark plug. And Hex goes so close to pole. 1:16.646. And if that is a sign of things to come, I am pretty happy with my teammate that I chose. Ramsey getting 5th in the standings in Premier Tier, but beaten by a reserve of yours truly in the standings. But of course, they don't count the official standings. Honduras is the flag. Yeah, I called it. Let's go. As Gord only improves slightly and goes P3. Hoop is P6. That is incredible. Spot up goes 7th. Tingra improves slightly to a 907. Vinny with a 997, but pole position goes to Ramsey. I don't know why Sander's so surprised. He is the only Premier Tier driver from Season 8, so yeah, but Hex only a 10th, less than a 10th off. Gordsos 3 tenths off. Definitely something that can be a bit of a battle. And then you have Bronco in 4th with, I think it was 8 tenths. So it's definitely not a bad thing. And here we go. Oh, not quite 8 tenths actually. Cheese getting P5 in the Ferrari, and then Hoop getting that 6th place spot up. 7th Tingra in 8th, Vinny 9th, Noob in 10th, LA Rodri. I saw it from the name in the chat. So LA Rodri, the Honduran flag, 11th. Dutch Dookie Canuck Sparkplug, all the Canadians, 12 through 15. Disgruntled 16th. Cersei, Vano, Sinks, and They Call Me Dr. J. Rounding off the field. Dr. J joining in the last minute. Hopefully he got a setup on, so he can at least compete. And now we get pit lane. I wish they could make these fans look a little bit cooler. A little bit more lively. I guess they look better on a PS5, I don't know. And why is there a EU flag in the middle of it? Like, Finnish flag, I guess, Bottas. The Mexican, I understand because we're in Mexico and Checo. Brazilian, I guess fine, you're from Brazil. But it's two European Union flags, like what? Why? Where is Midweek here? It's so late. No Europeans is here. And no, there is no European like a race anymore, like the actual European Grand Prix. There's no driver driving for the EU flag. So why? I guess they want to represent like the European PRL is, I'd say mainly Europeans, and then I guess Canada is the second. Actually, the biggest like representation is probably Canada for an individual country. But of course you have the Europeans, which the league is mainly catered to, with the races being at like 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. depending on where in Europe you are, which is like what, midday in US basically. Anyways, strategy for today, as we don't have formation lap good, so the lights are out and away we go, and Cersei and Sparkplug went a little bit early and have jumped the start, and Mr. Hex has gone up into the lead. Ramses had a horrendous start. So it's Mr. Hex, my lovely friend and teammate, in P1 Gordsauce. P2 Cheese has passed his teammate Bronco up to third. Bronco staying in P4. Hoop P5. Tingra up 2 places to P6. Noob up 3 places. I wonder if Rams is doing a lost to first. Either that or he was caught severely lacking. The game thinks soft mediums or medium to hards. I wonder if we could see a 2-stop here. Where Ramsey, 11 places down, P12. Vano, 5 places up. Actually the biggest gainer. From P18 to P13 from Vano on the hards as well. Impressive. Bronco staying in P4 with hards, also very impressive. Gordsauce slipstreaming, but can't quite make the move into turn 1. Now wants to get a good exit out of 3, but can't quite get that exit. Hex is gonna keep it into turn 4. We'll go on board with Ramsey, who I honestly can't tell you what happened, but he gets past Dutch, who had a little bit of a wheel spin on the exit of turn 5. And now through the S section we go. Yeah, we can see a lot of cars being close to each other. And here, who? Gordsauce picking up the fastest lap, 1:20.486. He had a tendency to do that against me as well. Again, stays behind. Of course, no DRS quite yet, because the detection point is the same for these two straights. As Disgruntled makes it past the Call Me Dr. J, who has made some places up. We can also see Canuck getting past Dutch. Rodri is in P10, making one spot up. Pretty solid so far. Let's see what Ramsey can do on spot up. Down the inside. Of course, Ramsey on the soft tires compared to almost everyone else on the mediums. Will be very, very interesting as Dutch picks up the first 3-second time penalty as Ramsey steals the fastest lap. Gordzos still behind Mr. X. Can't quite do it. And again into turn 3, just not quite close enough to make the move. Hoop, same story behind Bronco, but Hoop is doing so well. Currently beating Tingra. Very, very impressive from Hoop so far. Actually, oh, what has happened to Mr. Hex? Mr. Hex is all of a sudden 2 seconds back from Gordzos, and he is sliding around, and now Cheese is gonna come into it, because he will get DRS. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there we go. Ramsey on Noob. Problem for Ramsey now is that it's a train. It's gonna be tricky. Who can break the latest? Ramsey had a look, but couldn't quite get there. But tries to get a better line, to get a better exit, but can't quite do it. We'll see the flashing light of Noob. And it did try to send it a little bit, but Noob went for the move on Tingra, which definitely wouldn't have helped him. But it's looking a little bit like Tier 1 all over again. Gordzos 2.3 seconds clear. The biggest obstacle for Gord right now is actually himself. And he himself will admit that he made a little bit of too few many. That's a lot of words. There's a yellow flag in sector 2, in the S section. I think it's Dr. J. But yeah, Gordzos will admit himself that he just made a couple too many mistakes. As Ramsey is up into P7. But yeah, that is why Gord probably didn't win Tier 1 last season. Unfortunately. Bronco not being able to keep up with Cheese, Hex and Gordzos. And actually no one is keeping up with Gordzos at the moment. Hex 3 seconds back from the Canadian as Hoop mounts the curb, and the curb says come here. But a good save from Hoop keeps him pointing the right direction. As Ramsey still very, very close to Tingra, who slides through the turn. And Hoop looked to have a little bit of a slide on the exit. Let's see what happens here. Spot Up moves up to P8. Ramsey is on the inside of Timgra. Who breaks latest? Oh, it's pretty equal, but Ramsey on the inside, turned to the outside and then back to the inside, made the move, stick up into P6 for the Aston Martin driver. He really needs to step on it if he wants to win this, because Gorzos is checking out currently. Noob, unfortunately, going in a little bit too hot. And now Rodri has a look down the outside. Would have been a very impressive move from her. We can see in the foreground Spot Up having a look on Timgra, but couldn't quite get the move as we stay on board with Rodri through the final corner, gets down the inside and, sorry, wrong way, is ahead of Noob up into P9. Hoop is both under pressure but also putting pressure on Bronco, but Ramsey is gonna look to the inside into turn 4, gets the move done. Can Hoop come back? Not quite, as we see Spot Up having a bit of a slide. When trying to go for the move, we have a yellow flag in sector 1. Don't really know why, but my guess would be Sinkston. Down in P16, and we have a yellow flag in sector 2. It's right at the start of sector 2, and that would be Dr. J. I think the softs may have gone off for him. That's Ramsey getting a lovely tow from Bronco and up into P4. The German-Canadian goes. And of course gets the double bite of the sherry. Now Hoop is hoping that Ramsey can pull away, so that if we have a yellow flag, that would be Vinny. Vinny doing the Aston Martin thing and spinning in turn 3. And we have a battle here for P18, Vano versus Sparkplug. Keep an eye on that. Disgruntled is out, and that's a safety car. That is a safety car, and that is music to Ramsey's, Dutchess and Northern Canucks ears. Question is, what do you do? What do you do? Actually, I think the first couple of guys had gone past the pit lane. Someone who won't be happy is Bronco on the Hearts. Yeah, it's looking like Hearts might be the call. 26 laps or 25? 26. 26 laps of hard tires. It won't be fun, I can tell you that much for free. The hards are not great in this game. They are usable, just not great. Let's see what blah, blah, blah. English is hard in the middle of the night. Let's see what the leader Gordsos do. I think he has to box. And I think he has to box for hards. We can't really do much. The only person who has a real choice is Ramsey. We can see everyone is coming in. A couple of people put on the softs, noob and things, but to be fair, safety cars does breed safety cars. There tends to be more safety cars after a safety car because everyone is of course very, very close. Hex has gone for mediums. Bronco has gone for mediums. I'm just gonna check. Yeah, Hex has gone medium, so he has to stop again. We can see everyone else has put on a... Actually, Vinny has gone medium as well, so he needs to... A spark plug. He needs to stop. Spot up. Goes in for a set of mediums. Fresh set. He will come out in P13. But fresh set. Now, who is on the best strategy? A accident happened for Ramsey, which explains the decline from him, but he's back up to P3 and can definitely do something from this position. Just questioning Mr. Hex's strategy call of going to mediums. If there's another safety car. Oh, that is rough. Jeez, with the Spinala on the lap, the safety car comes out, and then getting a double stack. That is really, really rough. You are on hards, you can definitely go to the end. Although how fun it will be, I guess we'll find out after another, what, 24 or 5 laps? People are swapping around a little bit. Be careful, guys. You don't want to pick up a... You don't want to pick up penalties and stuff. Oh, Ramsey letting Bronco by. I don't know what's going on. I may have missed something. Because I wasn't keeping an eye on them. But yeah, Ramsey letting Bronco by. I'm just gonna... I'll be back in like 1 second.
Sorry, there we go. You should be back to hearing me now. Let's see if it has worked.
Sorry.
Yeah, there we go. Good. I can get you one. I can get you one. Hold on. Courses. There we go. Yeah, I have sent him an invite, so he can hopefully get back in. It's just lobby issues. That's fun. That's why Ramsey had to let Bronco by. Safety car is in this lap, as we suspected. Hopefully, yeah, he does join. Perfect timing for him. See if he can take control of his car. We can see behind there's a lot of chaos. Let's see, Gordsos has taken control of his car and he has gone, but Mr. Hex, look at this. Is it gonna be 3 wide? I sincerely hope not. Let's go on board with Bronco and watch this chaos unfold. Big slide from Gordsos. Of course, P2 and P3 on the medium tires. If there's another safety car, in like 10 laps, they are geniuses because they can go to soft and they will have been quick. If there's not a safety car, I don't quite understand this strategy call. Mr. Hex down the inside of Gordsos, change for the lead. Mr. Hex is P1. Now he needs to pull away before the DRS gets activated. Noob on the softs, putting some severe pressure on LA Rodri. Yeah, just look at the exit speed. Not even a fight between them. And Rodri is down to P9. Can she go for the move around the outside? Not quite. Noob closes the door. As they go for the braking. Sinks versus They Call Me Dr. J. So we gotta give everyone some airtime here. A nice little battle. And do keep picking up a 3-second time penalty. It's very easy to get the warnings here. Rodri picking up 3 seconds as well. There's so many turns where it's so easy to just stick a tire a little bit too wide. As Mr. Hex picks up the fastest lap of the race, Vano DNFing, and that's a safety car. Safety car number 2. I think there is 3 or 4 it can be max. Because This game is so great. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not what Hex and Bronco wants right now. It does help to get the mediums to the end. However, they don't get the chance to pull away. I'm guessing their tires is now what, about 7-8%, and Hex goes into the pits. Hex goes into the pits. What does he pit for? Bronco stays out, so it's only Mr. Hex, and he goes for a set of hards. I mean, they will be fresh, but he will have to overtake so many cars right now. Comes out P10. I mean, like, he might be the only one with less than 50% tire wear at the end. Yeah, so Vano leaves the session. So yeah, be ready for that. But at least it's on the safety car. Yeah, don't worry, Gorso. I will always have your back when you lag out. What's the one? Disconnect. That's the one. Except if I'm racing you, then you're on your own then. But you know, who has been the biggest gainer? Currently, it's it's Dr. J. Up into P11 on the horse for the McLaren driver. Then you have Northern Canuck with 6 spots. Rodri with 4. Actually, sorry, Sinks with 7. 7 spots. Which is very impressive. Cersei now up 1 spot from his starting position. Yeah, near the top you have Tingra with 3, you have Hoop and Gordsos with 2. Ramsey, of course, down 1, Bronco up 1. The biggest losers, unfortunately, has been Spot Up with 8 down. You have Hex with 8 down. Hex with a questionable strategy. I guess we'll see. My guess is that Bronco is currently at, what, like, how old are the tires? Let's see, they are 7 laps. They've done quite a few laps on the safety car, so what, like 7%? My guess is that Ramsey's tires and Gorso's is about 5%. So the safety car gets called in a little bit later. So not quite the same time for Gorsos to do really anything. Team Gun is a big gap to catch up, and yeah, that restart is not for the. Gord has lost it out the final corner, and I'm so sorry for laughing, but that is hilarious. He has lost it out the final corner and binned it into the pit wall. Oh my god, that is a little bit hilarious. And I told you, his biggest enemy is himself. Puts it into the wall and will end P18. There would be 3 points with the PRL point system. Because at least he didn't retire on purpose. I see. He's been throttled. Because of course the safety car was the safety car was called in. Oh, retired. That's the final safety car, I think. Maybe. It might be. Broncos going into the pits. I would go for a fresh set of mediums at this point, if you have it. You may as well. Obscure cheese. Oh, gets caught in the double stack and gets a 5-second. But yeah, so what happened to Gourd Sauce? I'm purely speculating, as we say in Sweden, it's a killgissning, which basically means guy guess. But my guess is that because the safety car got called in so late, he didn't have enough time to get a gap to the safety car, so he got throttled. And when that happens, essentially, even if you press full throttle, the game is gonna go nah. And then all of a sudden, if you're holding the throttle, all of a sudden you'll just get bang, full throttle, and that will spin your tires up, of course, because you go from like 20-30% to 100%. So I think that has happened to him. And of course, because of the way that Mexico's final turn is, it continues to turn. So yeah, it grips even less because you're turning slightly. And that is probably why he has ended up in the wall. I mean, obviously, I can't say much, say exactly what happened without watching his POV, but that is my best guess. Couple of people boxing spot up Cheese again, of course, because he wants the 5 seconds gone. But the problem is he's gonna need to box off the mediums. That would have been the correct call to be on. So he's gonna be on softs. If he is lucky, I don't think so, but if he's lucky, he will have time to box one more time back onto the mediums. But that is gonna be if he is lucky, and I don't think so. But the top 7 staying out for hards. Of course, Hex, Sparkplug, and Vinny has essentially fresh hards. My guess is that their tires is like 4% at most. While Rodri, who is currently P4, amazing job, girl. But you have Rodri, Tingra, Hoop, and Ramsey with 10 and 11 laps. So they're probably gonna start closing in on that 10%. Of course, a lot of it has been safety cars, but A safety car is in this lap, as I suspected. Even though Cersei is nowhere near the field, which is just amazing. Ramsey giving plenty of space to the safety car to go in, and that is why you want it, as Spot Up and Cheese has made contact down at the back. When McLaren standing still, that would have been Dr. J. Ramsey with a great restart. Hoop caught lacking. Hex, I was gonna say jumps Rodri, but Rodri jumps into the pits, so that's why. Vinny versus Bronco. Bronco on the mediums. And not even a fair fight. Cheese up into P12. Oh, Noob almost running into the back of Spot Up. Oh, Mr. Hex almost getting dragged by the curbs. He's getting so quick compared to Tingra right now. Oh, a little bit of a push off. And a virtual. And that is definitely the last safety car. I was gonna guess that it was Rodri, but I don't actually think so. And Cheese is having a horrendous, and yeah, he retires. Yeah, fair enough. He's not had a great race. But I would just blame it on the time, because it's currently 2:34 a.m. Oh, and Hoop. Hoop gets a drive through. That's Hex. Up at B2, he just goes off there. I think he picked up a warning from that. Obviously, if it was a real league race and not a preseason, I would not disclose that, but I think he may have just danced on the line, right on the exit, but I think he was just out. Well, oh, that's rough. But yeah, good night, Cheese. Sleep well. We have DRS enabled. And Hoop goes into the pits to serve that drive through. So Ramsey is leading by 5 seconds. Mr. Hex has a small gap of just over a second to Tingra. Bronco is hunting Tingra for that podium place. Vinny P5. Very impressive job from Aston. Spot Up on the soft tires, trying to get by Dookie. Dookie moving to the inside to defend, or rather moving to the middle to defend. Not quite covering the inside, but you can't really do much when the ahead puts themselves in the middle, because this track is quite narrow. Well, this track is quite narrow, and it's very tricky. Down the inside he goes, can't quite make it stick, and now Noob is right on the back of him as I get a lovely helicopter view of this. Noob down the inside is gonna get ahead of Spot Up. Now Spot Up cut back, not quite. Noob gets a very good exit. Let's go to the Ferrari of Bronco. He's gonna fly past Tingra. And here we see another flyby. Spot up, back up into P8. Ooh, noob with a slide in turn 1. Very good turn 2 and turn 3 though, but spot up has enough of a gap. Actually goes down the inside of Dookie. Will turn to the outside here. Has to give him the space and does so beautifully. Goes right round the outside of the double right-hander. Very nice move from the Haas driver. Of course, sharing team with me this season. I'm driving for Haas in Tier 1. Which is going to be very interesting as Dookie right around the outside. I was spot up, wanted the cutback instead. Gives noob. Free rein up into P8. Ramsey picks up 3 seconds. And Ramsey might be in a little bit of trouble at the end of the race then. 10 laps to go after this one, so 11 laps to go. We have noob ahead of Dookie now. These guys are changing positions left, right and center. Spot up, not quite getting the exit that he wanted. As Dutch picks up the fastest lap of the race with a 1:20.044. Oh! Noob with the slide. Dookie with the avoidance, trying to avoid the collision. The impending collision. I was waiting for them. Now spot up. Stuck behind these two. Oh, and spot up. I don't know if he actually made contact or just slammed on the brakes to not make contact, but they have split up now. He won't get DRS, I think. Yeah, he doesn't. And neither does Dookie. This is not the closest battle actually. It's Rodri versus Dutch. Oh, and Hex picks up a 3-second. That's not what you want to do in that situation. You were closing in on Ramsey as well. But Rodri is gonna fly by up into P13. Goes Rodri. Dookie gets passed by Spot Up, who now wants to hunt down Noob. But I think his tires might just have gone off too much for him. It's gonna be interesting to see. He needs to work together with Dookie to do it, not battle each other. Actually scratch that. As he gets a little bit of a slide, he's not gonna get DRS this time around. But yeah, now Dookie, what he doesn't want to do is, of course, battle with Spot Up as Rodri gets ahead of the second Red Bull of Cersei. Cersei going very wide, giving the place to Dutch as well. Spot Up has actually caught up to Noob, so never mind about the tires then. Yeah, the gap seems to have settled at the top. 4.5 seconds between Hex and Ramsey, and pretty much the same gap between Hex and Bronco as well. Canuck right on that teetering edge of DRS to Vinny. Has actually dipped into that 1 second now. Let's just check if Northern Canuck got DRS here. It did. Spot up. Right on the back of Noob. Noob flashing as well. There's gonna be music to Spot Up's ears. Spot Up, who has more ears than that. Northern Canuck. Right on the back of Vinny Sips. Vinny has done bloody terrific. As Spot Up picks up a 3-second time penalty, we will soon hop over to the penalties screen to get a better understanding of what's been going on. As Canuck picks up a 3-second as well. Oh, and slides! And that is that battle gone before it even started. Which is a big shame. Noob just can't quite keep up with Spot Up. Traction is not quite there. Spot Up, who of course raced in Tier 1 last season, did actually manage to win a race in Tier 1, so definitely not a slouch. Did very, very well. I won the British Grand Prix last season. Which was race number 1 of the season. Dr. J and Hoop. This will be an interesting battle. Almost 20 laps old hards against 7-lap old softs. It's actually gonna be very interesting, especially in a couple of laps when the softs also die. Yeah, look at the sliding from Hoop. Gotta say, Hoop has done terrifically well. Definitely had some promising pace. It will be very interesting to see. Spot Up has actually caught up to Northern Canuck for P6. And will absolutely fly by. Look at that. Whatever engine he has, I want it, because that was some serious straight line speed from Spot Up, who absolutely leaves Northern Canuck in the dust. And those 10-lap old softs is still holding on strong, even in this technical area where you need traction. And in the meantime, Dr. J against Hoop. And Dookie Hooser has joined the battle from the front. So there's going to be a nice little battle here for P9 between a Williams, a Merc, and a McLaren. Who can get the best exit then? Problem for Dr. J is now Hoop is, even though it's flashing, he's gonna get carried. And Dookie weaving a little bit. goes very deep in turn 1. That's not gonna help through turn 2 and 3. Dr. J can't quite use it to his advantage though. But it's closing on Dookie, but Dookie had enough of a gap. Dookie then going a little bit wide. And let's now swap over to pens, just so we can get a little bit of a better understanding of where people will end up. Jay starting to struggle a little bit here. Let's go on board with Dookie. He's currently battling with Hoop. When he goes a little bit deep. Which is absolutely not gonna help. I don't even think Dr. J got DRS, unfortunately. Quickly, no. Dookie definitely got it. That letterbox is well and truly wide open. Now Spot Up has actually caught up to Vinny Sips in P5. However, Spot Up has 8 seconds worth of penalties. So all Vinny needs to do is just stay with Spot Up and he'll keep P5. And honestly, Vinny is not far off Tingra, only 3.6 seconds. If Tingra picks up a 3-second time penalty, Vinny Sips might even have a look at P4. Hoop picks up a 3-second time penalty. And that might actually help Dr. J pick up P9. As we see Spot Up absolutely fly by Vinny Sips. Yeah, all you need to do now, Dr. J, is just stay out of trouble. Dookie has 6 seconds. But more importantly, Hoop has 3 as well. So you can definitely pick up P9 here, which is some very solid points in a real race. It's actually 14 points, which is definitely not bad. Of course, I don't know if they're gonna change it for this season. You never know. Because the rules is being announced. Oh, Hoop. That's Hoop down into P11. Dr. J is now P10 on track. It's still gonna be a P9 with penalties currently. We're gonna get P9 on track. Of course, as I said, 14 points. That is definitely something you want when racing for a champion. When racing in the championship. And yeah, Dr. J up into P9. Of course, Dookie now in a prime position to get the DRS and slipstream on the final lap. Meanwhile, Spark, Plug and Cersei is racing for P14 as Ramsey has started the final lap. And Sparkplug actually gets ahead of Cersei. Cersei gets out of the way. Don't pick up stupid time penalties for not adhering to the blue flags. Northern Canuck is not gonna get. Actually, it's gonna get DRS. Sorry, I was a little bit premature there. But yeah, Vinicius has been holding on to this P5. It's still going strong. Spot up and Northern is gonna challenge him on track at least. But the penalties is gonna be a hindering factor. We will go on board with Ramsey, who comes through the final turn to pick up the win in this preseason race. Fair play, Ramsey. Across the line will not Mr. Hex come. Well, he will, but we won't be there looking because we will keep an eye on this on-track battle. He does have a look, but it's not gonna happen. Vinicius is gonna hold on to P5 on track. Oh, a lot of lag. I think Northern Canuck disconnected right at the end. But Vinicius, what a race. P5 in the end. Noob picks up P8 and Dr. J does come across the line for P9. Which is definitely a solid debut. Rodri comes home in P12. Another solid debut. And also from Hoop. Very solid debut from all of the new guys. Dr. J gets driver of the day by the game. Definitely a solid drive from P20 to P9. However, I'm gonna give my driver of the day to Vinicius, who gets a P5, a solid P5, ahead of some very capable drivers, including Spot Up. And of course, Cheese, Gord. Well, of course, not limited to them. Northern Canuck is very good. Dookie, very good. Hoop. Sorry, my throat is going. Hoop showed some very promising pace. Will be very interesting to see. But that has been the midweek tier debuting with this preseason race from Mexico. Yeah, next week we go for real. On Sunday even we go for real. We are going to Brazil, I'm pretty sure. Season calendars, yes, we're going to Brazil on Sunday, and then in the midweek tier we're actually going to Austria. So until then, take care, and a goodbye and a good night from me. Take care, everyone.